Hey everyone, it's Matt, and today I am going to be playing a little game called The Case of the Golden Idol. And The Case of the Golden Idol is a game that I recently played all the way through, and I have to say, I loved it. This is one of the best games to come out this year, in my opinion, and I've not seen a lot of people talk about it, so I think it deserves more attention. On top of that, I do think it's a pretty relaxing and enjoyable game, despite being about sometimes gruesome murder mysteries. But that's beside the point. The point is, I am going to be doing a soft-spoken ASMR video playing the first few mysteries of this game. And that's about it. So, without any further introduction, let's get started with The Case of the Golden Idol. So, as you can see here, you can play the game with highlights on clickable objects, or no highlights on clickable objects. I would recommend playing with the highlights because oftentimes it's not really obvious what you can and cannot click, and I can imagine it might get a little frustrating trying to determine what to click when there's already enough challenge in solving the mystery. And as you can tell, this game has a old school kind of retro PC game point and click adventure from the 80s or 90s visual style, which I really like. A lot of people think it looks kind of ugly at first, but it grows on you. But anyway, we're going to play it with highlights to make it a bit simpler. Now we're going to start with the prologue, an abrupt termination of contract. Now the way this game works is you are given a scene, and a scene can consist of one screen or several different locations, and you have to investigate the scene, which is basically the moment a murder occurs, and determine what happened and who did what. And so the exploring tab is what you're looking at here. It's the scene. And the thinking tab is basically where you fill in the answers. You determine what happened. And once you fill in the answers, you have finished the level. And as you can see, the first level is very simple, but it quickly gets very complicated. Anyway, let's get started by investigating the scene and figuring out what happened. Let's click on this bag here. And we can see it's actually two bags. This green bag, which has a tobacco pouch and a pipe cleaner. And here we have two bags filled with coins and gems. And over here in the gray bag, we have a bag of medical instruments and some medicine, and a golden statue with a red stone, and a bag filled with coins and gems. So let's keep in mind these bags, they might become important later. And here we have this man who appears to have pushed this man off the cliff. This man here is saying, "I knew what you were plotting, you snake." He looks very agitated. And on him he has a pipe, a dagger, and a letter of some sort here. And as you can see, some of these are underlined words and names. And when you see the underlines, what you can do is click them, and they will show up down here. And what you do with these is you drag them into the slots to solve the puzzle. So you've got to keep an eye out for the underlined items. But anyway, it says here, January 5th, 1742, both parties agree to these terms for the expedition to Monkey Paw Island. Albert Cloudsley has rights to 2/3 of all valuables for funding the expedition. Oberon and Geller has rights to 1/3 of all valuables and any golden statues found for providing the map to the expedition site. So if we look at these details, we can probably determine that Albert Cloudsley is the owner of the left bag with 2/3 of the valuables, and Oberon Geller owns the right bag with the golden statue, the golden idol, if you will, and 1/3 of the money. So let's take a look at this fellow down here who was pushed into the water. He's saying, "Ah," and he was carrying a scalpel, a medicine bottle, a map of sorts, containing certain words here, such as horn of finger, horn of thumb, ruins of Xenopolis, and the Bay of Shadows. And he also has this letter here, which appears to be the same as the one on the other man. You don't have to click these since we've already gotten them. But given the evidence we have here, let's determine which is which. And the main scroll here that you have to fill in is always on the left, while the middle and right ones are often just helpful to help you organize your thoughts. But let's figure out who these guys are. So, looking at this guy here, he says, "I knew what you were plotting, you snake." He seems to be suspicious of this man. This man is carrying some medical instruments. And if we remember, in the bag here, the gray bag has some medical instruments. So it clearly belongs to this man, who also has 1/3 of the valuables. So who was entitled to 1/3 of the valuables? That was Oberon Geller. He also has the golden statue, which is listed as his here. So we can safely assume that this man is Oberon Geller. And by process of elimination, this man is Albert Cloudsley. And as you can see, all identities are filled in correctly. So these are helpful if you want to figure out what's going on over here, because they'll tell you what parts you've gotten right before you start filling this in. Now, what's going on over here? The camp is in what of what? So if we look at the map here, in the picture of the camp, we can see here's the camp, and out here there are 2 rocks out in the ocean. Now if we look at the map, the only place with 2 rocks is over here by the Horn of Thumb, so it seems safe to assume that we are at the Horn of Thumb. Ta-da! So now that we know these things, we can answer what happened in this scene. We can say that Albert Cloudsley pushed Oberon Geller from a cliff in the Horn of Thumb on Monkey Paw Island. The scroll has been fulfilled. While Dr. Oberon Geller was surveying the poor weather with his looking glass, his expedition partner, Albert Cloudsley, Esquire, suddenly pushed him off the cliff. And that's the first mystery. Let's move on to the next. So mystery number 2 is the untimely passing of a rural gentleman. And now we have here this man who seems to have died in a bed, presumably his bed. But let's take a look around the room first. Over here we have what we believe is the golden idol that we saw in the last mystery. We have a coat or jacket of some sort, covered in something. We have a boat or a yacht slowly floating in the river. We have a portrait of a man eating his dinner, enjoying some wine, and I'm not sure if that's a chicken or a turkey or something else. We have here a map with some clickable words: Woodshire, Crow Tower, and Blackfield. And there are these little symbols next to them. Maybe these will come in handy later. We have here a calendar showing the date to be August 23rd, a Monday. We have a desk here. Some more words we can click. Spontaneous combustion. I, Sebastian Cloudsley, will share my humble contribution to the science of anatomy and chemistry. And a book here. Oh, a diary of sorts. So this last diary entry was from August 22nd, 1786. 12 o'clock, woke up, a beautiful day. 12:30, washed and dressed in my dining attire. 14, had a beautiful roast duck for lunch. 16, changed to my hunting attire. 17, rode to hunt badgers, had no luck today and returned home. 18, changed to my researching attire. 19, changed to my dining attire. 20, had a tasty beef loin for supper. 22:30, filled in my diary and went to bed to continue reading for my research. So this information might be pretty useful, but it is of the previous day, not from today. And if we keep looking here, there is a ladder, a tall rickety ladder, as well as a book kind of sticking out of the shelf by Henry Clover, titled Lead Poisoning. Now if we look at the man here, the man is not breathing, his head is badly wounded, and there is a ring with a ruby on him, and that's about it. Or is it? If you might have noticed, there is a horse, and if you click on the horse, a horse is running in the yard, and horse was added to the list of potential clues. So let's take a look here at the thinking tab. So given that there was only one name in all this evidence, it seems pretty clear that this man is Sebastian Cloudsley. Now let's figure out his attire here, which is his dining, his hunting, and his researching attire. So clearly this seems to be his dining attire, since he is dining. And this here, well, it could be his hunting attire, but the stains are not red like blood, so I'm going to say it's probably some other type of stain that might happen while he's researching. And that leaves the attire that he died in, which would be his hunting attire. And so what happened here? Let's get started. So Sebastian Cloudsley, Lord of what? Well, we have these three places. Are there any clues as to which of them he is from? Let's take a look at the evidence again here. So there are these symbols next to everything. Have we seen any of these symbols around? Maybe, maybe not. If we click here, how about over here on the desk? There is I assume a seal or a stamp of sorts. It has kind of this face with the X shape behind it. And if we look here, That matches Blackfield. So let's assume this man is the Lord of Blackfield. So Sebastian Cloudsley, Lord of Blackfield, passed away in his bed. The cause of death was a what? A blank blank. Well, if we look at the options here, spontaneous combustion probably doesn't fit, given that he is not burned or on fire. Lead poisoning is a possibility, given that he was researching it, and he died lying down in bed, but his head is bleeding and is badly wounded. Lead poisoning would not do that. So, chances are he died from a head wound. The cause of death was a head wound, which occurred when he fell from a what? Is it possible he fell from a ladder? Well, it seems he died in his hunting attire. Why would he be wearing his hunting attire if he was climbing the ladder? Wouldn't he be researching? So, I think it's more likely that he was out hunting. And what could he have fallen from? Well, as we saw, there was a horse running loose outside, so maybe he fell from a horse when he was out hunting. Ta-da! While the Lord of Blackfield was hunting, his horse threw him off, and he suffered a deadly wound to the head. So that does it for number 2. Now, the first 2 scenarios are very, very, very simple compared to most of the rest. And number 3 isn't particularly difficult in the scope of the game, but it's where I'd say the game really starts to make you think a little. So, we're going to do number 3 here. The dramatic departure of an outsider. Alright, so there's a lot going on here. The first, most obvious one is this man here, who is clearly the victim of spontaneous combustion. But let's move from left to right and figure out what's going on here. First we have this very shocked-looking man saying, "Spare me, devil, I was simply following orders." He is clearly in a lot of distress, and he has on him Astonishing Monkey Man, which is labeled property of Pear Brothers. I don't know if this is a book or a comic or something else, but it is the property of the Pear Brothers. So I would say this man might be one of the Pear Brothers, or he took it from one of the Pear Brothers. But for now, why don't we just put Pear for his last name. He also has on him a knife. So now, moving to the right, we have the man undergoing spontaneous combustion. He has fire coming out of his eyeballs and his mouth. Very gruesome. He has on him a scorched horse brush, as well as a scorched knife. So, not much we can do with him right now. But if we keep moving on, we have this man here saying, "What the blazes?" Pun intended, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But he only has on him an August Jockey Club Derby card of some sort. I think this is a horse race bet for race number 3. He wagered £35 on Raging Sultan. I like this horse face here. It's kind of funny. Not much we can gather about this guy just yet. Now this man here, he is particularly odd if you haven't noticed. He's holding something here and staring blankly at the Burning Man. And that something appears to be the golden idol. And if we take a close look at the idol here, there has a pattern of symbols on the back as well as a lever. Let's keep that in mind. He also has on him £1, 2 shillings and 2 pence, a ring with a ruby, and a note that says spontaneous combustion. To perform the combustion trick, you must first cast a freezing spell. The sacred glyphs for combustion on the idol. And we have here these symbols. Do these symbols match what's on the idol? Yes, they do. So I think it's safe to assume that the combustion spell was used on the idol to set this man on fire, and this is the man who did it. But there's not too much we can gather about more specific details, so let's keep taking a look here. We have this man here saying, interesting. He doesn't seem too shocked for some reason. Maybe he's in on it. He's also carrying Ash Blair Finest Tobacco, a note that says, prepare the carriage for tomorrow. We are to visit my nephew. And that is from E.C., whoever that is. We also have a saddlebag and 2 shillings and a penny and a dagger. Now moving on, we have this on the door here. It is the stable rota for Adam and James, and they seem to be responsible for horse grooming and stable cleaning. Depending on the day, either Adam or James does horse grooming, with the other doing the other. And the note says, and do it properly, you lazy oafs. Disrespectful if you ask me. But clearly there are 2 people in charge of the horses and the stable, and their names are Adam and James. And if we think back here, didn't this man have, yes, a knife of some sort? And this man had a scorched knife that looks very similar, as well as a scorched horse brush. Now, given that they're holding fairly similar items, and they're both shocked, I would wager that these are Adam and James, which we're not sure yet because we don't know which day of the week it is. But if they are brothers, that would mean this is one of the pair brothers. We just need to figure out which is Adam and which is James. Alright, so the last man here is this guy who says, what an unexpected turn of events. But I will say he does look slightly amused. It's like he has a bit of a smirk on his face. That is a little suspicious. But he has on him an embroidered handkerchief, embroidered with E.C. Sounds familiar. £3 and 3 shillings. A stiletto blade. A note here that says, Dear Edmund, it has reached my attention that you are seeking a capable new servant. I have just the man for you. David Gorin is an experienced coachman with a diverse set of talents that I am sure you will find very useful. If you are displeased with his services, do not hesitate to let me know. Yours, Theo. So we have some new names, Edmund and David Gorin. And last here we have the London Gazetteer for Monday, September 7th, 1786. And now we have Lord Edmund Cloudsley's speech stirs Parliament. So we already had the name Edmund, but Cloudsley. Would that not be E.C.? And we see it is Monday if this is today's paper. And this man has a note addressed to Edmund, as well as an EC handkerchief. So I think it's safe to bet that this man is Edmund Cloudsley. So let's fill in his name. And now if we remember, it is Monday. Taking a look here, the rota for Adam and James on Monday. James is responsible for grooming, and stable cleaning is Adam's job. So who was grooming? Well, given that this man has a brush and this one does not, I'd say this one was responsible for grooming, and that would make him James. So let's give him the name James Pear, and this man Adam Pear. We still don't know much about the names of these people, but it's possible that one of them is David Gorin. I can't say who yet, though. And lastly, in this spot, we have up here a crest that looks kind of like one of the crests on the map in the previous one. So, now we can move inside. Inside we have a lot more evidence and a couple more individuals here. Starting on the left, we have, kind of scratched into the wall, a caricature of a man in a hat that says Fat Lord, and the pair twins, A and J. We already know who they are, but who is the Fat Lord? If we look over here, we have the names Baddeley, Cloudsley, and Cubert. And if we remember, we saw this outside on the building. So is this the Baddeley residence or property of the Baddeleys? So it's clear that the Fat Lord is probably Lord Baddeley. Well, going by looks, I would not say this man is fat. This person appears to be overweight, but I don't think they would be considered a lord in this time period. And out here, Edmund, we already know, this man is not overweight either, nor is this man. And we already know this one, who appears to be a bit chubby, is one of the pair twins. This man over here, he does have a bit of chubbiness to his face. So maybe this is Lord Baddeley. Lord Baddeley. But we don't know his first name. Let's keep looking. So in here we have this woman who says, "My apologies, he can be so bad here sometimes." She is carrying 6 rings with various stones, 4 pounds, a fan, an ornamented guitar blade, and a book by Shamal Bhatt, Simasana Batisi. Not entirely clear what that is or if that's relevant, but we'll keep it in mind. On the table here we have a business card, it appears, Nicholas Maker, attorney. It's very close to this man. Could this be Nicholas Baker? Well, let's take a closer look. I would not have expected one of your family to treat a legal document in such a way. I am appalled. Well, I would say that of the people to be appalled by mistreating a legal document, a lawyer or an attorney would probably make the most sense. So I'm going to say this man is probably Nicholas Maker. Now what does he have on him? He has a ring with a ruby. He has 2 shillings, 3 pence. And here, a chart for the reading of the last will and testament of Sebastian Cloudsley, the man who died in the previous mystery. And this is labeled September 7th, 1786, which I believe is the same as the newspaper. So that does seem to confirm that the guy out there was Edmund Cloudsley. If we look at the chart here, we see that Sebastian's parents were Albert and Mary, and Sebastian Cloudsley died here. His siblings were Beatrix Badley, Rose Hubert, and Edmund Cloudsley. Now looking here, we can see there were 4 inheritors. Edmund Cloudsley, who is the oldest, Rose Hubert, who is married, Willard Wright, who is potentially an associate, it seems a little unclear with the question mark, and Peter Badley, who I believe, due to this chart, is receiving some inheritance of some sort due to being the man in the relationship with his sibling. But that does give us a first name for Mr. Badley, and that is Peter. So I would say this is Peter Badley. Now, let's keep looking here. On the floor, we have a book, Aphorisms by Sebastian Cloudsley. How to be happy. Eat a hearty meal every day and do not waste your time on trivialities. How to avoid being upset. Strive for that which holds meaning and do not shirk from responsibility. How to be inspired. Take a walk in your forest and breathe the fresh air. How to avoid being scared. Feeling scared is a weakness. Be strong instead. Well, if only it was that easy, but this is a very outdated book, apparently. And finally, over here on the floor, we have a variety of notes and torn up pieces of paper. Let's take a look here. We have Dear Willard Wright, something about Rose Hubert. We have something that's been added to the thinking panel. Over here. I bequeath to you the gold. Know what to do with it. Idol of Xenopolis, you will. Another clue. I want you to put your sharp mind to better use than mere politics. Therefore, I bequeath research, something, notes from the something, astronomy. Well, if we look here, we can see they've been put together, so let's pick them up and read them there. Here's another set of notes, and another, and another. And over here we have an August Jockey Club Derby bet of £50 on Spinning Jenny. And finally, a letter. Dear Peter Badley, we have sent you frequent reminders concerning the settlement of your debt, and yet, to date, the debt remains unpaid. We humbly request that you make your payments as soon as possible, or we will be forced to take the matter into our own hands. The debt currently stands at £255, Blackguard and Buck loans. Alright, so now that it appears we have all the possible clues, let's sort them with A to Z here, and take a look at the thinking panel. So, chances are I would say this woman is Rose Hubert, given that it's the only female name we have here. And that leaves, well, Sebastian, we know he is dead, so he is neither of these. And that leaves Willard Wright and David Gorin. Which is which? Well, let's come back to that. Looking at the right side here, we can figure out who got what in the last will and testament of Sebastian Cloudsley. We met so rarely after you left for colonies. Therefore I bequeath to you my savings, land, and the Blackfield Manor House. Come home and establish a museum of my life and accomplishments. So whoever this was to must have been pretty close to Sebastian Cloudsley. It could have been a sibling, maybe Edmund Cloudsley. But looking here, let's see, I want you to put your sharp mind to better use than mere politics. Therefore, I bequeath to you the notes from the research I have undertaken on astronomy. I grant you leave to finish and publish it under both our names. So, I said this could be Edmund up here, but both our names, could he be referring to publishing it under something like Sebastian and Edmund Cloudsley? And given that he had a newspaper that seemed to be focused on politics, this actually could be Edmund Cloudsley's inheritance. But looking here, my late sister, your mother disclosed your financial troubles to me long ago, and I resolved to help you. I bequeath to you a compilation of my aphorisms to provide the direction in your life which you so clearly lack. So, given that this is addressed to a sister, I would say it's probably Rose Kubert, but given that one of them did end up going to Peter Badley after, I think it was, yes, Beatrix Badley was married to them. Perhaps it was addressed to Beatrix Badley and ended up going to Peter. Not sure. And here we have, I bequeath to you the golden idol of Xenopolis. You will know what to do with it. Given that this man has the idol, I think this last one is addressed to him. But let's take a look here. How can we confirm that this is or isn't Rose Kubert? Let's take another look at Rose. My apologies, he can be so dear sometimes. Well, she doesn't have anything that seems to be relevant to the inheritance on her. But maybe. There is also the aphorisms on the floor. Late sister, late sister. So it could be Rose Kubert, or it could have been for Beatrix and end up on Peter Badley. But whoever it was simply got the aphorisms. Given that Rose is in here with the aphorisms, I think it's Rose, but let's keep an open mind. I'm going to put Rose here for now. Actually, if you haven't finished in the scroll, you have to drag it from down here. Rose Kubert. Now, let's take another look back outside and see if we can figure out who is who. I'm going to say, given the evidence I discussed earlier, this could be Edmund Cloudsley. Edmund Cloudsley. So, this person got the savings, land, and the Blackfield Manor House. Who might that have been? Well, given that David Gore is not on the list, it's not David. It could be Willard Wright. It could be Peter Badley. It could be Edmund Cloudsley. I don't think it's Rose, because we've already narrowed down the sister to one of these two. We've already gotten rid of Edmund Cloudsley. So, it's either Willard Wright or Peter Badley. Willard Wright or Peter Badley. So, let's take a look here at Peter Badley. nothing particularly specific about him that seems relevant. Looking at this man here, he's all about the idol. This man is clearly in the last spot here. And this man, prepare the carriage for tomorrow. We are to visit my nephew. So he's clearly working with E.C. Edmund Cloudsley. And if we remember, there's this note. Dear Edmund, it has reached my attention that you are seeking a capable new servant, and that servant is David Gorin. So it seems to me this man could very well be David Gorin. And that leaves Willard Wright left. Is this Willard Wright? Yes, it is. So now that we know everyone's names, we can fill in more of this. The golden idol is being held by Willard Wright, so let's fill that in here. And that leaves Peter Badley for the last spot, if this is correct. Is it though? No. So, if we recall, we have my late sister. We thought that could be Rose, but you know something? I think we've overlooked a very important note here. My late sister. Though the document here doesn't seem... Oh, it does. It does seem to indicate that she died with the cross. I did not notice the crosses earlier, but the cross seems to indicate someone died. So that is why Peter is getting the inheritance instead. So it's not a matter of man versus wife, or male versus female, obviously, because Rose got some inheritance. So given that my late sister could only fit Beatrix Badley, that spot must have ended up going to Peter. So, though it was technically addressed to Beatrix, Beatrix is not an option, and it ended up going to Peter Badley. And as you can see, we only have 2 incorrect slots, and it says so up here. And that would mean Rose Kubert was the first one up here. Ta-da! So now that we have all this information, let's figure out what happened. So there are quite a few spots to fill in here. Let's start with the easy one. Who died from what? So at the end, suddenly, James Pear died from what is clearly spontaneous combustion. Now here, someone was blank to receive blank in someone's will. Well, we know whose will it is. That would be Sebastian Cloudsley. But this gold spot right here, someone was blank to receive blank in the will. So this is probably an emotion. Were they happy? Were they inspired? Scared? Or upset? Well, given that whoever this was ordered someone to take something, they were probably not happy about it. So they were either scared or upset. I'm gonna say upset is the most likely. So someone was upset to receive something in the will and ordered someone to take something. So who could have been ordered around? Ordered who? Well, it could have been one of the servants, but my gut says it was the particular servant that this person hired. And that would make it David Gorin. And so if this person had David Gorin as a servant, that would make them Edmund Cloudsley. And what did Edmund receive in the will? Well, he received notes from the research Sebastian undertook on astronomy. So down here we have research. Edmund Cloudsley was upset to receive research in Sebastian Cloudsley's will and ordered David Gorin and who to take the what from who. So who is working with Edmund Cloudsley and David Gorin? Well, if we look here, the only other man who is not shocked or being burned alive is Willard Wright here. And Willard Wright is certainly doing something, so he could be doing it on behalf of Edmund Cloudsley. So let's say Willard Wright to take the what from who. And why did James Pear die in the process? He doesn't have anything on him, and he didn't receive anything in the will and testament. But Peter Badley, he is shocked, and if we look here, he is quite close to the Burning Man. Is it possible that Willard meant to aim for Peter, but ended up hitting one of the horse caretakers instead? Well, I think that is particularly possible. So, Peter Badley might have been the target here. And if Peter Badley was the target, it was because Edmund Cloudsley wanted to take the... Well, maybe not, because Peter Badley received aphorisms. And as we can see, this is not the correct answer. So, what really happened here? Edmund Cloudsley was upset to receive research in his will. That much seems pretty clear. And he ordered David Gorin and Willard Wright to take the what from who. What are the options here? We have aphorisms, we have a house, we have an idol. Well, Willard, if he is one of the people working to take something from Peter Badley, he already has the idol, and he does not have well, he could have a house, but the house, for all intents and purposes, might be this residence here, the Badley residence. So if he meant to kill Peter Badley, maybe he was trying to take Peter Badley's house from him, to steal his property, his land. So let's give that a try. No, that is not correct. So, now what? Let's take a closer look here. Edmund Cloudsley was upset to receive research in the will. Who received what? And what could the spontaneous combustion could have assisted in getting? Well, it's not Peter Badley's house. It could be the golden idol. Maybe this happened after something was taken. So, looking here, the other things that could have been taken, we have savings, land, a house, addressed to Rose Kubert. We have the research, which we already know he doesn't want. Could be a book of aphorisms, which we're sure he does not really want. And it could be the idol. So, it's either the idol or the house. Well, if you noticed, when we filled in house and Peter Badley, it didn't say two or fewer items were not correct, meaning that at least 3 of these things are wrong. How about if we replace house with idle? Well, it appears that 3 things are still wrong here. How about we replace Peter Badley with one of the other people that stuff could have been taken from? How about Rose Kubert? No. Well, in this case, we can still see that more than 2 things are incorrect, meaning that it doesn't seem likely that idle or house or Rose or Peter or any of this down here are accurate if everything else is, which would imply that I've gotten this all wrong. So how about we start over here and take another look? As you can see, this is where the case of the golden idol starts to reveal how tricky it can be. What might have appeared obvious at first ends up being entirely wrong, and you have to kind of spin your brain around and peek into the little nooks and crannies of your mind to make associations that you might not have otherwise made. And this is why I call this one the first real part of the case of the golden idol. It only gets more complex from here, but as we can see, if someone orders something to take something, or orders someone to take something, they probably were upset to receive something in the will. So we know Edmund could have been upset to receive research, but maybe he wasn't, because if he published it under their names, maybe he got rich and famous from it. So what could have not been desirable out of the remaining objects? Well, the house is desirable, it's worth a lot. The idol is a clearly fancy golden artifact, probably valuable. A book of aphorisms that was thrown on the floor, not very valuable at all. And who received those aphorisms? That would have been Peter Badley. So maybe Peter Badley was upset to receive aphorisms in the will of Sebastian Cloudsley. Whoops, over here. And so who would Peter have ordered to take something? Well, given that this is Peter's home, and the people being attacked are these 2 here, there's a pair, just like there's a pair of names here, pair, like their last names, maybe Peter ordered his 2 servants, Adam and James Pair, to take something from someone. What could he have taken? Well, he could have attempted to take the golden idol from Willard Wright, or he could have attempted to take the research from Edmund. But I'd say the idol is probably more valuable. And up here, the house, well, Peter clearly already has his own residence, so probably a bit redundant to get another one. So maybe he wanted the idol. Could he have wanted to take the idol from Willard Wright, and Willard Wright used it in self-defense? Let's take a look and see if that works. Ta-da! So yes, Peter Badley, encumbered by his gambling debts, had placed high hopes on his uncle's testament. Upon discovering he had inherited nothing but a book of aphorisms, he tore up the will and ordered his servants to take the golden statue from the stranger Willard. Suddenly, one of the servants burst into flames. Now I will say, this one I had actually forgotten the details of despite playing this old game about a week ago, and I had a trickier time figuring this out in this video than I did the first time. I didn't get caught up on this first section, which is kind of funny, but it does show how much this game makes you think. And if you are distracted by things like trying to focus on softly speaking for a relaxing ASMR video, your brain might not be working at 100%. But either way, if you enjoyed this, I would highly, highly, highly recommend the game. There are several more cases to solve throughout the game, and an overarching story that gets pretty interesting and cool. And if you liked it, I would highly recommend buying the game and playing it. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I'd like to thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.